Wake up, Detroit. I'm Joanne Watson, and this is your wake-up call.
When a brown girl child is born, the earth shifts. The sun is at half-mast. The moon waits for her first cry. The ancestors set the table. The flowers turn red as blood. This is your land, continent daughter, with tree trunk legs and branches for arms. This is your soil, black and fertile as your eyes facing an apartheid Jim Crow current past memory. Some of us begin the removal of shackles at birth. We grow into the armor of struggle quickly. We brew courage in our tea, blend bravery into our Sunday dinners. Joanne Watson, you understand nation building is not a part-time job. This dedicated life is sometimes lonely, a vulnerable choice, but it is the only way you know how to operate. You are wired for the movement in your black women bones, even when tired, still fighting, still organizing, still singing morning spirituals. You were born to lead, even in your own family, the eldest of 10 children born to Jefferson and Lestine. You made Damon, Nefertari, Stephen, Maya. Her children always knew she was larger than life. When you are a woman in the movement, you take the children with you on the journey. You bring the babies with you to your college classes. When you travel to Ghana for the first time, it will be with your daughters in tow. When you are a fearless, nationalist thinking mama, mothering never stops with your own babies. 30 godchildren and mentees across the globe. The daughter of a ministering mother is already ordained for good trouble. A seer, a prophetic young student preparing for her lifelong role as servant to her own community. When your purse was snatched in a Farmer Jack parking lot many years ago with your kids' tickets to Run DMC in the purse, you made sure they still got to that concert and even hosted Melly Merrill and the Furious Five in your living room, because queens make it look easy. When you're a single mom, people will tell you what you can't do. Instead, you move to New York City with all 4 of your C's to do your necessary work with the YWCA, because queens make it look easy. Ghana, Togo, South Africa, where is your heart, Mama Watson? Nurturing spirit, baking melt in your mouth, homemade biscuits. How many hours do you sleep, Warrior Watson, with endless work ethic and blue-collar blood racing through your veins? How do we say thank you for your work, your time, your heart? We know you will never really retire. There is a fire on the path to freedom. There is smoke, there is sacrifice, there are stories of justice, of women, of Tubman, Sojourner, of Angela, Asada, Coretta, and Merle, and Betty, and Queen Mother Moore. Some of us know we are ancient, that our marrow is laced with legacy, that we are here to bring light to our daughters. Sometimes it just takes one woman, a mother, a grandmother, a Spitfire, griot, a sister, the only woman to lead the NAACP's largest chapter. She, daughter of the movement, of Rosa, of Irma. She was a birth that gave birth to possibility for other young activists like me, a true D woman, frontline Fatima, Nigerian blood, councilwoman, leader, truth teller, Joanne Watson, social worker, president of the Anti-Klan Network, sister, inspiration, dedicated to the protection of girls and the voices of women wrapped in West African beauty, regal and resilient. Wake up, Detroit. Wake up, South Africa. Wake up, Cuba. Wake up, small business owners. Wake up, White House. Wake up, reparations. Wake up, teachers. Wake up, women. Wake up, schools. Sleeping is not an option when the Honorable Joanne Watson is in the room.
Wake up, Detroit. This is Joanne Watson welcoming you to this wake-up call. We're saying, wake up, world. This is the national edition of the wake-up call, and we're so blessed to have the Black Congress on Health, Law, Economics, and Education as our sponsor, as our partner. It's all about getting out the vote. We know that the national vote, the presidential election, is November 3rd. And it's a good time for us to rally all of our forces, come together and convene the sharpest minds in this country to help us organize and mobilize and strategize to get out the vote. We have some magnificent panelists who will be bringing forth get out the vote messages today right here on WHPR. And we want to introduce one of our great partners to set the stage for what's to come.
Thank you very much, Dr. Watson. We appreciate being with you this morning, the Black Congress on Health, Law, and Economics. The motto and our theme for this voting season is moving from protest to power at the polls. Moving from protest to power at the polls. And we're very pleased and very happy to have an excellent panel with us today. And I'd like to just go through and introduce them. And if I might, I'd like to introduce first Dorothy Jackson. Dorothy Jackson, okay? Dorothy is the executive director of the Black Congress on Health, Law, and Economics, and the coordinator, developer, and producer of this particular initiative for all of us. And so as we move forward, I see that we are being joined also by another. And as I go through it, I'd like to just introduce each person who is with us today, each an expert in their areas. First, I'd like to introduce a good friend for many years, the Honorable Hester Wheeler, Assistant Secretary of State of Michigan. Welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning. Happy to be here. Thank you.
There we are.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. The Honorable Antwine Thompson, former New York State Senator, Executive Director of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. Antwine?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. It's great to have you with us today. And we have with us also Gregory Humphreys, who is in Detroit. And we want to say thank you very much. I know that your mother is watching this morning, and we want to
good morning to all.
As we move forward, we thank you for being a part of this. And then, of course, the inevitable Dr. Dennis Rogers, who is the National Campaign Director for Black Congress on Health, Law, and Economics, calling in from North Carolina. We thank you very much. And I've introduced earlier Dorothy Jackson. And so, Dorothy, I want to say hello to you again as we move forward. And now, I'd like to introduce really a special friend of all of ours, a person who has been in the movement for many years, a person who is a mentor to all of us. And that is our friend, Bill Lucy.
Yes, sir.
Bill Lucy.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay, retired Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, retired, and AFSCME, Secretary Treasurer, a mentor to all of us, and particularly I want to say thank you, Bill, for the mentoring that you have done for me, many other lawyers across this country, and for those who are in the labor movement. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you so much for having me, Derek. Really appreciate it.
Okay. And so, Dr. Watson, we have our guest today, and I'd like to just give it back to you as we move forward. And we thank you again for this opportunity to co-partner with you and with WHPR TV and R.J. Watkins. We thank him very much.
We thank you, Attorney Derek A. Humphreys, and the Black Congress on Health, Law, Economics, and Education, and all the wonderful guests who are here. We want to send a special shout out to the significant audience around the nation and even international audience as we say, wake up world, wake up Detroit, wake up America. I want to call upon our good friend. There really is nobody who's the equal of Bill Lucy. Legendary, he's iconic. He's at the top of the mountain, at the head of the line for those persons who have distinguished themselves in organized labor, politics, economics, strategizing, organizing, There's nobody like the legendary Bill Lucy. And I just was, and obviously I just love him and think the world of him. And there's nobody in Detroit who does not know the story of Bill Lucy and CBTU, the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists. And I just want to give him this opportunity to talk about the importance of our getting out to vote and the importance of our organizing and strategizing to do the right thing on November 3rd. Bill Lucy.
Well, thank you so much. And again, just thank you guys for having me on. I really just appreciate the opportunity to sort of say a word or two about not just labor in general, but the need for labor to play the role that is really a part of its responsibility. This year's election, and we've said in times past that the upcoming election is the most important election we've ever participated in. And for years and years, we just outright lied. This year is the most important election in the history of our democracy, because with the outcome of this will really set the tone and the direction of our society for years to come. And I think not just Black labor, but labor in general has got to step up to the plate and really take a look into its gut to see whether or not the issues that we've talked about, the issues that for years we worked on, whether or not we have done our job. Because this year, we have got to not just get people registered to vote, get them educated to vote, get them mobilized to vote, and get them to the poll. Because the outcome of this will really define this nation and our society for years and years to come. I woke up this morning, I hate to say this, but I woke up this morning mad, watched the silliness that went on last night, and tried to see how people come to a conclusion that they can really just outright fool the public, with the public knowing the difference. And then some of us, because we don't want to think too hard, except, well, he must be right, my eyes must have been wrong, and my ears must have been bad. And I really assumed that the current occupant of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue was one of the world's great liars. And I discovered that there's one equal to or better than. But he ran up against a young lady last night that came with her A game and really gave the message to the country as to what this election is all about. The CBTU, we're trying to do what we've always done, to mobilize our leadership and our followership to get into the community and talk to people about what the critical issues are and what it means to them. And I'm really hopeful that this will be a turnout this year that will set a record, not just in terms of numbers, but in terms of substance, because our communities are at risk without. That's right. And so we're in the game between ASME and the Coalition of Black Trade Unions and the other unions affiliated with our coalition. We're trying to produce the largest Black vote we've ever turned out. Now, folks say, well, why do you define it as a Black vote? Because that's what it is. We've got to turn folks out. I hate to say it, we don't have so many brothers and sisters at the polls going to look like midnight. So there you go. So that's what we need. And the organizations, large and small, we've got about 26 or 27 days to do that work. And we're going to do our part.
All right. The great, legendary, iconic Bill Lucy. What an honor just to have him in this space. And when we talk about getting out the vote, of course, the Assistant Secretary of State for the great state of Michigan, the Honorable Hester Wheeler, who is himself as a Black firefighter in Detroit. He's been a legislative aide to former Congresswoman Carolyn Chief Kilpatrick. He's been a director of the largest NAACP in the country.
Absolutely.
And now he is the Assistant Secretary of State for the state of Michigan, which has set records with sending out absentee ballots in this current season. Welcome, Hester Wheeler.
Thank you, Honorable Joanne Watson. It is my pleasure to be a part of this very important conversation. Bill Lucy, I salute you, brother. When I shop, I think of you because you're the standard bearer. I love the way you stand tall, and you've always stood tall for our community. What a pleasure to see you, and you're looking good. I'm happy to be a part of this. Attorney Dorothy Jackson, thank you for that extra communication. You kept us all in line, and I am deeply appreciative. Derek Humphreys and them Humphrey boys, look at y'all. So this is a wonderful opportunity. You're absolutely correct, Joanne Watson. We have been aggressive. November 2018, voters here in Michigan voted in new voting rights. And we are in a rhythm that we have never seen before. 2.6 million absentee voter applications. 2 million ballots have already been mailed. We're 350% ahead of where we were in 2016. We have been working the urban corridors all up and down I-75, all across I-94, all across I-96. We know where the high-performing precincts are. We know exactly where the low-performing precincts are. And we have been using all of our power. Jocelyn Benson serves as our Secretary of State. She's very dynamic. She's very aggressive. She asked if I would join her team. On day one, she said, Hester, let's look around this state and see where we can use our power. What can we make happen that's within our purview? I'm pleased to announce today that all 8,000 to 9,000 returning citizens, everybody that leaves a Michigan prison, for example, will automatically have a state identification card, a driver's license, and a voter registration card. That's the first time in Michigan history. That's something within our purview. We're working to restore the driver's licenses, for example, to the 79,000 Detroit residents that have lost their driver's license because of that onerous driver responsibility fee, which in fact is a poor people penalty. But I know we're here to talk about voting, so I'm excited to talk about Michigan's new voting rights. No excuse absentee voting, same-day voter registration, automatic voter registration. We've introduced drop boxes, over 1,000 drop boxes all across the state of Michigan, 30 right here in the city of Detroit. And we have introduced ballot tracking. It's the same way you track your flight status if you are headed to the airport, if your gate changes or if your departure time changes. Now you can know exactly where your ballot is. On the day we mail you your ballot, we send you a text message. On the day we receive your ballot, we send you another text message. On the day we process your ballot, we send you another text message. All of that is designed to restore and increase the integrity of the process. We've got some 1,500 clerks here in Michigan. And I want to highlight the fact that we've already hosted 3 elections here in Michigan. Obviously, March 10, the presidential primary. May 5, we had small elections in several communities across Michigan. And of course, August 4. Those particular elections have informed us on the way to November 3. 18,000 plus residents registered and voted on the same day. They took advantage of one of Michigan's new voting rights. That's significant when you know that over 50% were under the age of 30. That's significant when you know that hundreds of those were ages 18 and 19. So what does that tell us? How does that inform us? Young people will participate. Young people want to participate. And those of us who have community leadership responsibilities, we have to keep our hands in the lives of young people. They will participate, but they might not participate until the very, very last minute. So same-day voter registration works for that slice of our population. Also, we have research that show if voters participate in the very first opportunity they have, they typically become voters for life. If they miss that first or second opportunity, then it's people like us that spend the rest of our life chasing that voter. So this is a great time in Michigan. This is a great time in our country. And I agree with you, Brother Lucy, as always. This, in fact, is the most important lifetime. COVID-19 has revealed something that we already know. We know that we live with compromised immune systems. If you're a Black man in particular, a chance encounter with a police officer can be a death sentence. For that reason alone, your blood pressure is 5, 8, 10 points higher than most. So just like COVID-19 is in fact a pandemic and has been rightfully declared a state of emergency, poverty is a pandemic, and we insist that we declare a state of emergency. But racism, rogue policing is a pandemic, and we will not sit still until that is declared a state of emergency. So let's move from agony to action, Attorney Humphreys. Let's move from protest to power. Voting is our power. Happy to be here.
Go ahead. The Honorable Hester Wheeler. Thank you so much. And now let's hear from the Honorable Brother Thompson.
Yes. This is a very important election. Been doing voter registration and voter engagement for a long time, from college to the city, state, local, now national level of politics. And one of the things that doing this year is at the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, we are engaging our members, with many of them who are leaders in over 33 states, 90 plus cities. And so we're training them about the importance of it. We've done a number of trainings this year. In fact, we have one next week. We intend to make sure that they, as real estate professionals, that they are, we're working to get some resources so they can put lawn signs out, encouraging their clients to vote. As you know, Black real estate professionals do the bulk of the business in Black neighborhoods, putting to work. So we want to make sure those Black real estate professionals can text their clients, drop lawn signs off at their clients, put them on some of the properties that they own, put them outside of their brokerages as well, and then do some visibility down the stretch to get the folks out to vote as well. Some of our members created a non-connected pack called NatPac 1947. And so we are trying to, we are supporting, and NatPac 1947 is supporting candidates in a number of key races. There are a number of African Americans who are running for the first time in seats where they can flip and really champion Black home ownership, because your listeners may not know, the current rate of home ownership for white America is 76% compared to 47% for Black Americans across the country. And that's the bulk of the racial wealth gap in the country. So what we say at our association, that Black home ownership is on the ballot, and that we need a Congress and a White House that's not going to talk rhetoric, but that's going to close that racial wealth gap through advancing Black home ownership. And so we've got to get all of our family members, we got to get our kids, we got to talk to everyone we know. And as real estate professionals, we're every day, we are on the grind telling people it's imperative, it is essential that you get out to vote. And we know as real estate professionals, we have a great sphere of influence as well, because people trust us as well.
I appreciate that, and that sounds like a magnificent strategy of prioritizing the importance of home ownership and tying that into Black wealth.
Yes, yeah, it's really important. You know, most people, when they think about what happens for white America, for the issues that we face, whether it's gentrification, whether it's the fact that educational attainment is not as high as it should be. It was talked about earlier about the fact that our life expectancy and our health conditions are not as good. All those things tie back to home ownership. 40% of small businesses start in the home. Kids who their parents that own a home are more likely to graduate from high school, go to college, have better health outcomes. So all these things tied to that. And the reason why white America's home ownership rate is higher than Black America is because the government made it possible.
That's right.
When people came home from World War II, they had this program called the GI Bill with a VA mortgage, and Black people for years could not get access to that. We have a program where they get guaranteed a 30-year mortgage. That was not made possible for African Americans for 30 years, from 1932 or 33 all the way up to the 60s. That was not available. And so, and they created whole towns like Levittown, New Jersey, where they create suburbs for white people that Black people couldn't move in for over 30 years. So it's not a surprise that we have this vast wealth disparity, and a lot of it stems back to federal policy. And it's time that we create an agenda and a Congress and a president that's going to do something about it. And so that's why we are on fire about fighting to get out the vote in 2020.
That's exactly right. That's why some of us fight for reparations, because the Homestead Act of hundreds of years ago provided free land.
1862. 1862.
Right. Free land, free property was deeded to white males in this country, the Homestead Act. And there was also money provided to those who lost the Civil War. The Confederates who lost the Civil War got compensation to pay them for their losses. But there was never compensation provided to those who built this country and working from can't see in the morning to can't see at night and who never got paid.
The other thing that I would like to say, Ms. Joanne, is that there is a federal policy on the books called HUD Section 184. Really important for you all to know. HUD Section 184. This is a restorative policy that provides no money down mortgages, low cost interest rates for Native Americans, Hawaiians, and Alaskans. This has never been done for Black people, and we're saying that in this next administration, we need a restorative policy like this for Black people. No money down, low cost mortgages for Native Americans, Alaskans, Hawaiians, for the injustices that were perpetrated against them. And we know that there's been no shortage of lists in the past and in the present in terms of injustices against Black people.
That's right. And there's also a HUD Section 3 that has been on the books for more than 40 years. And this was put on the books by great Honorable Adam Clayton Powell and also by the Honorable Congressman John Conyers from Detroit, demanding that any HUD money going to any city, you must provide jobs and training in urban communities where the HUD dollars are spent. And that is not enforced and not institutionalized like it ought to be, including in Detroit. So that HUD Section 3 is a policy that is still on the books that should be jobs and training for Black people in this country.
No, you are right on. I mean, I've been involved with a number of demonstrations throughout the years about the lack of enforcement. And interestingly, there's not been there's been a couple Republican heads of HUD, but it's been many, many years since an African American with vision has led the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and hopefully we can change that in the months to come.
We pray so. Thank you so much again. Let me ask our sister attorney, Dorothy Jackson, if she will talk about the importance of us broadening the net of who is going to be out there getting out the vote. So there's not the same people that we rely on every election, but everyone sees themselves and appoint themselves as part of the get out the vote team.
Well, I think there are a lot of new organizations out there working to get out the vote, but I think there are also people working that people who don't necessarily see as they're getting out the vote. For example, when I met Antwine Thompson, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, when real estate brokers come to mind, people think of buying houses, leasing houses, that they don't think that this is an important part of our community. And they are good citizens because they are engaged in getting out the vote. We have some other groups that will be coming on later, Sisters Lead Sisters to Vote. There are, as Mr. Lucy said, it's very important that everybody in every walk of life is getting out the vote, their family, their friends, everybody. And I think we're seeing that in this cycle. Just like when, I always have to give a bit of history. When President Obama won his second term, there were groups out there putting students to sleep in churches and sororities and fraternities, feeding them so they could work in certain states to get out the vote. There was no press. You know, we're not in it for credit or attention. We just want to get out the vote. So I think there is a lot of that going on in this election cycle. each person doing whatever they can, even if you just can bring your next door neighbor out to vote or help them with a plan. Do you need me to get a ballot for you? Do you need something? People are really seeing how the government is in crisis. There's a lot of lies that are now being revealed. And anybody who couldn't see that, like I'm going back to what Mr. Lucy said about the what happened last night, you blatantly lie on national television. And I don't know what brainless people they're talking to, because these things are obvious. How can you say a disease doesn't exist and it's a hoax, and then you have it and you're sneaking off to Walter Reed in a hospital, in a helicopter, having all kinds of drugs and treatments available to you that are not available to the average American and their families.
That's right.
So we have to vote to turn things around, to get out of this incompetent, chaotic manner of government.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Dr. Dennis Rogers. Boots on the ground are necessary right now, and because people are voting right now, right?
That's right. Early voting has begun in states around the country. In fact, voter guides are being passed out around the country by members of coalition organizations that are affiliated with CBTU and Mr. Bill Lucy, APRI, A. Philip Randolph Institute. Black Voters Matter are actually doing rides through rural areas in states like North Carolina in order to get out the vote. And so what I'd like to say is, there's a long history on this call, as you know, with Mr. Lucy and all of us that he's educated in this process. And what we're seeing play out currently, according to an article that came out in The Atlantic, this is going to be a historic turnout. And that's based in the work that is being done. And it's also a space where athletes and entertainers are looking to the leadership of folks like Bill Lucy and those of us on this call. You have Chris Paul, for example, who's returning to college at Winston-Salem State University and who's encouraging his fellow students to get out to vote. You have LeBron James, who's both building his own get out the vote effort, but who's funding additional get out the vote efforts. So I think anybody awake recognizes that, as Attorney Jackson said, our nation is in crises, all hands on deck. And in watching Black Twitterverse last night throughout the debate, one thing that's obvious is that young people who we know we need to get out are turned on. They're turned on in Instagram, they're turned on in Twitterverse, they're creating memes, but more importantly, they're engaging in early voting we're seeing in North Carolina, and they're looking forward to it, being engaged to put yard signs out to get others out to vote with them.
Well said, Dr. Dennis Rogers. And it's really something that requires everybody to take on a piece of the strategy and anoint themselves to be a part of the team. And I know that Gregory Humphreys is doing that all over Detroit.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you once again for being part of this team. I like to piggyback on the gentleman about the real estate. I own a management company, and we have renters, and he is correct that the renters do not take an active role in the political system because, one, and I've asked them, and I like to bring it down to the street level. So I asked them, I said, well, why do you don't participate? And they said, because I don't know how long I'm going to be in this area. I don't know how long my employment is going to hold out. So I'm just here as a transit. And I respectfully said the ownership. So I tried to explain to them the ownership of owning your own home, putting some skin in the game, as you would say. So he's absolutely, absolutely correct. And I try to educate them as much as I can on that level. I have, first being on the street level, I went down to the election commission And Mr. Wheeler, I guess you can speak to this if you like. On Friday, October 2nd, I have some numbers. 107,431 people were mailed AB ballots, not application, ballots. And only 11,023 were returned. So if I can ask Mr. Wheeler, what does he think of that, and how can we increase those numbers? I know we have some things that are going on with the mail-in and people are holding on to them, but that number is 1 in every 10 is not returning or something.
I can tell you this, Brother Humphreys, that number now is over 150,000 ballots.
Yes.
Have been mailed out to absentee ballot owners. Over nearly 20,000 have been returned as of yesterday. We're paying close attention. Detroiters are alert. They are paying attention. Those ballots are coming back. People are taking their time and they're spreading their ballots out across their dining room tables and studying the candidates, studying the proposals. And I think the more we do what we do well, the more you will see those numbers speed up. So we just need to touch voters over and over. There is a relationship between the number of times we touch a voter and the likelihood they participate. The fact that they've requested those absentee ballots reflect that they're already alert. We just got to keep pushing, bro. You will see record voter turnout in Detroit. So let's do what we do well.
What you say is so important. I'd like to just read statistics from a few cities from 2016 election. In Milwaukee, 93,000 black folk did not vote. The margin of victory in Wisconsin was 23,000 votes. In Miami, 379,000 black voters did not vote. The margin of victory in Florida was 113,000 votes. In Philadelphia in 2016, 238,000 black voters did not vote. The margin of victory in Pennsylvania was 44,000 votes.
My man, very important.
In Atlanta, 530,000 black voters did not vote. The margin of victory in Georgia was 200,000 votes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. In Michigan, as you know, and you have shared, in Detroit, 277,000 black voters did not vote. And the margin of victory in Michigan was 11,000 votes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Happen again. That won't happen.
Absolutely right. That will not happen again.
Yes, sir.
And so I ask with the question, what is the plan? What is the plan? And the question that all of us get, particularly from our elders, is, are there plans for me to get to the polls? What's the plan for getting an absentee voter ballot? What's the plan? And I think that what would be wonderful for those who are viewing this show and will view the tape in the coming weeks is some insight on what's the plan for moving forward and having a record turnout in 2020.
Sir.
And if I might ask, Esther?
Yes, sir. Let me just take a part of that. I think Dr. Dennis Rogers highlighted an aspect of this plan that is very, very important. Voting has already started. Vote early. We start on September 24 here in Michigan. State law requires absentee ballots be on their way some 40 days before Election Day. That's why you hear us say over and over and over, election season is upon us. Vote early. There is some African-American cultural traditions where we focus on election day, where we say, take your souls to the poll, and all of that is very, very important. But this is a significant moment of convergence. COVID-19 has created a new reality. 1.6 million people voted via absentee on August 4 here, and out of 2.5 million. So more people took advantage of Michigan's new voting rights than went to the poll. We need to encourage our community to go vote right now. In fact, these new voting rights has created a new landscape. Whether you receive your ballot in the mail or not, you can go to the clerk's office and vote right now before your ballot even comes. And when your ballot comes through the mail, you can trash it, you can spoil it, you can take it to the clerk's office and turn it in. I am saying there's no way you can get away with voting a second time, so don't worry about it. There is record foot traffic in the clerk's office right now. A part of the reason I highlighted these election ballot drop boxes, a part of the reason I highlighted ballot tracking, all of that is designed to get people engaged right now. Do not wait for election day to exercise your right to vote. Voting season has begun. Vote early and take some and help other people get their ballots to the clerk's office.
Hester,
That's right.
Hester, can I make one point? And the numbers that were cited there are incredible numbers, but they're not numbers that are there because people are not interested. The system is almost organized to impact you, so you lose interest in voting.
Yes, sir.
Why is voting on a day that almost impossible for working folks, and particularly blue-collar working folks, to vote? I mean, recall in South Africa, the polls were taken to the jail. The polls were taken so that people could vote. They do not want people to vote here, and the process is organized to make it difficult for you to do that. Now, Dennis made the point. There are new techniques, and we all know that's available now to encourage people to vote. The question is, do we come with a plan or do we come with a strategy? I mean, we got targeting and micro-targeting. We can tell who do and don't vote if we get the data on them. I mean, this year will be an incredible year for voter turnout. And they know it. I mean, when they say, well, they just they suppressing my vote. What they're doing is changing the process.
Yes, sir.
You suppress your own vote.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
And we've got to figure out how to do that. There's jobs for young adults to help seniors vote. I mean, in communities where everybody knows everybody, and some of them still exist, we ought to have our young people, to the extent we can do it in the pandemic, tapping on doors and asking, do people need help in the preparation of their ballot? We put 1,000 issues on the ballot. Folks ain't got time to go through 1,000 of them. They're looking for that thing that catches their interest. And on the trade union side, and Hester, you remember the UAW was the voting mechanism.
No question.
In Detroit. Well, we got to get back to that point for those who got jobs in the plants, got jobs in industries that are hands-on jobs. We got to motivate them to take on the responsibility of using their structure to
That's
move.
right.
Joe Davis, and I'm talking about names you know.
Yes, sir. No, God bless him. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you went to vote because Joe said so.
That's right.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Lay it out, brother.
And there used to be a leverage to make sure that in many communities, election day was a holiday.
Yes, sir.
And that is something that should not be ignored nor forgotten. That is, there is no day more important to the citizens' rights than an election day. So people ought to be able to vote and not have to risk their job to vote, risk their employment to vote.
And I would add, Honorable Joanne Watson and Brother Bill Lucy. The fact is, Bill Lucy, you said it earlier. If you have power, you have to use it. And Rory Gamble,
there's no point in having it.
There's no point in having it. But Rory Gamble is the international president of UAW. That brother uses his power. Presidential election day is, in fact, a holiday for UAW workers. They've made sure that there's a pathway to the poll. You add that to the fact that we do have an outreach going on to young people. You can be as young as 16 and 17 and become an election inspector in Michigan. The Honorable Judge Cynthia Stevens, Joanne, I think you saw her ruling. She declared that from Friday to Monday, the weekend before the election, anybody can collect anybody's ballot and take it to the clerk. That's people using their power. Cynthia Stevens is one of us. You follow?
That's right.
And she said any ballot that arrives after Election Day, if it's postmarked by Tuesday, November 3, 8 p.m., you can count them for the next 2 weeks. That's one of our people using their power. So I am saying there are a lot of good efforts. We do need to just work more to connect the dots, celebrate the good things that are going on across our community. I am encouraged. Gregory Humphreys, you will see record voter turnout in Detroit. There are so many people that are committed to doing the right thing. $11,000 gap, 11,000 vote gap that Derek Humphreys highlighted. Not this time, sir. Not this time.
All right.
Go ahead. And it should be noted that the Honorable Cynthia Stevens, when she and I were both at University of Michigan, active in the Black Action Movement.
Yes, sir.
Her chief on the liberation of our people. So when people have a history of giving back and fighting for justice and freedom and dignity for our people, then that lets you know that they will have a record once they're in public office.
Yes, sir.
That's why.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why it's important that we vote, because the Honorable Cynthia Diane Stevens was voted into office.
Right.
She was not appointed; she was voted by her beloved community, and we need to protect the vote. We need to ensure the vote. All of us need to be engaged in the voting process, and the voting is going on right now.
I would just also say that a lot of folks are wondering at home what they can do. This is a national call to action. A lot of people are wondering what can they do. And I would just say three things for the listening audience. One is that most people have a cell phone, so they can text people every day. Text 20 people and remind them to vote, and especially young people, but text people, remind them to vote. Number two, call somebody. You know, we like to call and talk about everything else and make it part of the conversation for the next 26 days. And then the last thing is everybody can donate $5 to help some organization or some campaign that needs a little help. Everyone may not have a lot of money, but we all got at least $5. We won't buy some chips. We won't buy some donuts. We won't play those lottery numbers. Donate $5 at least once a week until Election Day to help somebody. Maybe help somebody with gas money to go volunteer. It'll help somebody buy some lunch when they go volunteer. It may help somebody buy an umbrella when they go volunteer. But make sure you take a little bit aside and put at least $5 a week. That gives, say, hey, baby, okay, here's a couple dollars. Go out there and go pass out some literature in the neighborhood.
That's right.
We all can do that. That's my 2 cents.
Go ahead.
Your 2 cents, $5.
Can I ask a question of Mr. Wheeler?
Yes, sir.
I have some seniors that I communicate with because, as you know, I ran 2 campaigns over the summer for August, and I'm getting some phone calls about how people spoil ballots. I think people need to know that because people are so anxious to vote for people. They open the ballot up and they start coloring them in.
That's correct.
Then they go to the top and they see Democratic, what they can do just for Democrat, straight ticket. So they call me and say, did I spoil my ballot once I started coloring in the rest of them, shading in the rest of them, and then I went up. And I experienced that at the election commission too, when there were like 10 seniors came in and they asked and they sat there and we were waiting for that answer. Can you explain to the people what will spoil their ballots so people don't get confused and frustrated?
Yeah, thanks for that. It's a couple quick things. First of all, if it says vote for not more than 2 and you vote for 4, you've in fact spoiled that area of your particular ballot. If it says, now in Michigan you can vote straight party or you can mix your vote. You can vote straight party in every, say you vote straight party as a libertarian. I'm not advising you do that. If you ask for my advice, I'm gonna tell you exactly how to vote. But my point is, if you vote straight party as a libertarian, every candidate listed as a libertarian will get your vote. But if you decide to go to one candidate and vote who happens to be a Republican, that Republican will get your vote, and everybody else will get who's listed as a libertarian. So you can't really mess it up. And if you have any confusion about having voted incorrectly, you can trash that vote. You can trash that ballot yourself by taking it to the clerk and say, "I'm confused. I think I may have overvoted." And you can request that that ballot be spoiled, and you can request a brand new ballot. So I think that's especially significant. Now, I thought you might be headed in another direction also as how can we help seniors. One of the best things we can do has been afforded to us by the Honorable Judge Cynthia Stevens. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday before Election Day, you can go collect ballots as per her legal decision. That's especially significant. You cannot do it before then because it's called ballot harvesting. And to Bill Lucy and Brother Attorney Humphreys, to your point, just like we're organizing, this is why I love Joanne Watson, just like we're having this particular conversation, guess what? The other side is organizing also. All types of voter suppression is in full gear. They've already started robocalls into Detroit households saying you don't vote by mail because it's going to violate your privacy. So just like the other side is organizing, we've got to keep organizing just like this because we are having impact. The last thing I'll say is that each one of us have the additional responsibility. And Brother Antwine Thompson, I appreciate what you just articulated because you need to give people step-by-step practicable things that they can do every day. All of us have social media. We should be posting regularly that this is important because we are all trusted messengers. Blessed by God that somebody trusts us. And we've got to live our light. We've got to articulate what people really need to do. People listen to us. Don't repost foolishness because you saw it on Facebook and you can't substantiate it. Don't you dare repost it. Only the things that
That's
you
right.
substantiate. So we're trusted messengers.
That's right.
Let's use our voice. If you got power, you have to use it, Brother Lucy. In the words of Bill Lucy.
Thank you, Honorable Esther Wheeler, Secretary of State. We want to thank everybody who has been a magnificent panelist on today's program. There would be no Wake Up Detroit, Wake Up World without you. We're very grateful to the Black Congress on Health, Law, Economics, and Education for being our sponsor. And we want to thank Attorney Derek A. Humphreys, as always, and our sister, Attorney Dorothy Jackson, and our brother, Dr. Dennis Rogers, for being a wonderful, wonderful partners in this process. Thank you so much, Derek.
And thank you very much, Dr. Watson. We appreciate this opportunity to partner with you and with WHBR. It is an honor to talk to a national audience through Wake Up Detroit, the national edition.
Thank you, and thank you. God bless all of our panelists, and God bless our community as we work together collaboratively to get out the vote. Wake up, Detroit.
Wake up, Detroit.
Wake up, Detroit.
Wake up, Detroit. I'm Joanne Watson, and this is your wake-up call.
When a brown girl child is born, the earth shifts. The sun is at half-mast. The moon waits for her first cry. The ancestors set the table. The flowers turn red as blood. This is your land, continent daughter, with tree trunk legs and branches for arms. This is your soil, black and fertile as your eyes facing an apartheid Jim Crow current past memory. Some of us begin the removal of shackles at birth. We grow into the armor of struggle quickly. We brew courage in our tea, blend bravery into our Sunday dinners. Joanne Watson, you understand nation building is not a part-time job. This dedicated life is sometimes lonely, a vulnerable choice, but it is the only way you know how to operate. You are wired for the movement. In your black women bones, even when tired, still fighting, still organizing, still singing morning spirituals. You were born to lead, even in your own family, the eldest of 10 children born to Jefferson and Lestine. You made Damon, Nefertari, Stephen, Maya. Her children always knew she was larger than life. When you are a woman in the movement, you take the children with you on the journey. You bring the babies with you to your college classes. When you travel to Ghana for the first time, it will be with your daughters in tow. When you are a fearless, nationalist thinking mama, mothering never stops with your own babies. 30 godchildren and mentees across the globe. The daughter of a ministering mother is already ordained for good trouble. A seer, a prophetic young student preparing for her lifelong role as servant to her own community. When your purse was snatched in a Farmer Jack parking lot many years ago with your kids' tickets to Run DMC in the purse, you made sure they still got to that concert and even hosted Melly Mel and the Furious Five in your living room, because queens make it look easy. When you're a single mom, people will tell you what you can't do. Instead, you move to New York City with all 4 of your C's to do your necessary work with the YWCA, because queens make it look easy. Ghana, Togo, South Africa, where is your heart, Mama Watson? Nurturing spirit, baking melt in your mouth, homemade biscuits. How many hours do you sleep, Warrior Watson, with endless work ethic and blue-collar blood racing through your veins? How do we say thank you for your work, your time, your heart? We know you will never really retire. There is a fire on the path to freedom. There is smoke, there is sacrifice. There are stories of justice, of women, of Tubman, Sojourner, of Angela, Asada, Coretta, and Merle, and Betty, and Queen Mother Moore. Some of us know we are ancient, that our marrow is laced with legacy, that we are here to bring light to our daughters. Sometimes it just takes one woman, a mother, a grandmother, a Spitfire, griot, a sister, the only woman to lead the NAACP's largest chapter. She, daughter of the movement, of Rosa, of Irma. She was a birth that gave birth to possibility for other young activists like me, a true D woman, frontline Fatima, Nigerian blood, councilwoman, leader, truth teller, Joanne Watson, social worker, president of the Anti-Klan Network, sister, inspiration, dedicated to the protection of girls and the voices of women wrapped in West African beauty, regal and resilient. Wake up, Detroit. Wake up, South Africa. Wake up, Cuba. Wake up, small business owners. Wake up, White House. Wake up, reparations. Wake up, teachers. Wake up, women. Wake up, schools. Sleeping is not an option when the Honorable Joanne Watson is in the room.